Coming to you from Star Studios in Denton, Texas, and Tom Collins Signs in Limerick, Ireland. This is Coffee with a Sign Painter, a podcast hosted by sign painter Sean Starr and Tom Collins. This groovy soundtrack was written and performed by Fergal Lawler of the Cranberries. Thanks, Fergal.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. As some of you may know, we took a hiatus from the podcast while we relocated our studio, and so we had to take some time and regain some sanity and get things set up. So we've done that. We're back, and we've made some changes as well. The show is now co-hosted by my buddy Tom Collins, who's out in Limerick, Ireland. You'll recognize him from some previous episodes, and we've got all sorts of neat stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes leading up to the relaunch. And so you'll see different interviews, and then there'll be the normal stuff with Tom and I and some other features. And the other change is to make things more manageable. Instead of a weekly podcast, we are changing things to a monthly mega podcast where it's about the same amount of content, but it's a little easier to manage with our schedules and everything else if we just compile everything once a month and release it. So if you're used to the weekly podcast, then feel free to listen to this in smaller increments every Tuesday morning, whatever works for you. But so what we're going to do first is Tom and I are going to be catching up. And then Tom went in London to AS Handover, who's been supplying brushes and paints to sign writers over there for, I think, almost 100 years or more. They're going to be talking to Charlotte at AS Handover, as well as Tobias and Jack and some other sign writers that came out and helped us on the project in Limerick. So, yeah, still got the same old nonsense going on, so I hope you enjoy it. Mr. Tom.
Hello again.
Okay.
Hey, I'm back. Okay. All checks signed and stuff done. What's that? It's on the envelope.
It's in your windshield, which is with you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Sorry, Sean.
It's all good. I know that you're running this empire over there, so you know.
Well, yeah, we have a fleet of Jeeps on the road. They all have my branding guidelines, identity guidelines, you know, and obviously, you know, the highest spec known to mankind, you know.
So this is our first fully collaborative episode. We've done a lot of episodes together, but this is like our first real Coffee with a Sign Painter with Sean and Tom thing going on.
Yeah. What were you thinking, Sean?
What was I thinking? Yeah.
Yeah.
Still haven't figured that one out. No, this is super cool. Texas and Ireland simultaneously. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, maybe some of that is reflected a little bit in the intro music. I think a little bit. Absolutely.
I was listening to that again this morning. For those of you who've tuned into the podcast 2.0, the intro music was composed and performed by Fergal from the Cranberries. So that's super cool that he did that for us. We are pretty excited about it. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think you know, the fact that one guy did that, it sounds like there's about 15 people in the studio. It's really impressive.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome, and he's preparing. The band's preparing to do a European tour right now, so he took his time out to hook us up with that. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I think they're recording an acoustic album as well at the moment.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
man, you're the man.
Here
You're the man in the know.
Well, this is it. I don't think it's something that. Well, I think they're posting stuff on their Instagrams and different things where, you know, they have a string orchestra, and they're doing different.
Nice. Their publicist is probably going to hunt you down and shoot you for revealing that, but
I think it's out there. I hope it's out there anyway. It is now.
There you go.
Exclusive.
Good job, Tom. So let's see. It's been a while now since we were out there doing that project in Limerick, and you and I have talked a little bit here and there, but catch me up. Like, what have you been working on since we talked?
Well, I suppose a lot of it has I've been getting my life back to some extent, and recharging and recovering a lot, because it was that project was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of energy as well. Trying to make it all happen, and
that would have given me a nervous breakdown. When we got out there and I saw like all the different stuff you were juggling, like from early morning to late night every night, it was like, oh my God, I'd kill myself.
There was a lot of that. Well, I think I may have had a mild nervous breakdown because we had just come from a 10-week intensive period of a remodeling project at home, and we were couch surfing, and I was at our house every day doing work and dealing with all the stuff that was coming up there. But look, it all worked out fine, and we hit our deadline because we had to get back in, and and that happened. And then pretty much around the same time, all our other project was kicking off, and there was a few hiccups along the way where some hotels lost our bookings, and we had a few problems on the day with people showing up and nowhere to go, and it was a real headache when I didn't need it. But we got over that as well, and the same ones that messed up kind of came through at the end when some people extended their stay, as Simon and Toby will testify that they were, some of the hotels were terrific, and very very good to us,
Now, for
so we love that kind of stuff,
For the people who have no clue what we're talking about, Tom spearheaded this project in Limerick, Ireland, where my wife and I, Kaylee, went out. Simon Robinson from New York, some Toby and Jack and some others from the UK came over, and we did a large-scale piece that was inspired by the Cranberries' first album. That was a gift to the city. Where is that thing hanging? What is that called? City Square or something? It's on a street called William Street, after some King William, I suppose, and it overlooks the laneway, or the side street entrance into an old venue that's no longer there, that the Cranberries actually played their first gig in. Nice.
So we kind of identify. Yeah, we had the guys in my studio at the very beginning, kind of talking about what we'd like to do, where we'd like to do it. It was just like a football. We were just kicking it around, the idea of having something close to that venue, and we found someone willing, who had a big enough space that was perfect for it, turned out to be perfect for it, and that was willing to give it to us. And it took a lot of toing and froing, because they're a big company with Dublin headquarters. I think they're owned by a Canadian company.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of work to get them to say yes, but it's still up there, and it's in a high vis spot.
Sure. And
hopefully it'll stay up there for a long time to come.
So we did that big art piece. You and I worked on that. Kaylee worked on it, and Simon. Probably some others that I'm spacing out on.
That's right.
But then
everyone lent a hand. Yeah.
Yeah, and then. We did the gallery show that you arranged out there, Love Letters for or to Limerick. I don't remember. From Limerick. Yeah. Okay. And so that was a collaborative show with a bunch of us, with some pieces, and there was also some historical pieces that you brought in.
Yeah, I mean, Peter McCullen brought in some gorgeous stuff as well. Very, very rare finds from his over the years, and we all had, like, I had a few bits and pieces, and everyone. I mean, people brought stuff in. Especially Simon brought in a beautiful piece that he worked on in New York and got it here in one piece, and it went for mega bucks at the auction.
Nice.
We had a sort of an auction at the very end where we donated all the proceeds to a local suicide prevention patrol.
Yeah, that
we have a lot of bridges.
That was a really cool angle to all of it, is that the money raised all went to that group. And for those of you not familiar with Limerick, it's on the Shannon River.
That's right.
That runs
Broad Majestic Shannon.
The Broad Majestic Shannon, and there's this group that patrols the bridges because there's a fairly high suicide rate.
Volunteers.
Yeah, all volunteers, and so all the money raised went to help them. So that was great.
So it was like we tried to do a bunch of things. We tried to give the city a gift, like a morale boost to, you keep your chin up even when you're fed up. That kind of sort of a little thing, a little bumper sticker of a morale boost. But we obviously, we're both music fans, and we tossed around the idea of working on other stuff. But it was a chance meeting with one of the Cranberries, and we got kind of talking, and this thing developed out of it, and it was great because it got us a lot of attention here in our local media and in our national media, and we got picked up by all kinds of radio stations and TV news features, and we coincided. It was over a month, so there was a lot of stuff, and there was a lot of time trying to kind of keep that momentum going as well. And it was just I probably took on way more than I should have, but look, it was a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Yeah. Hello?
You were here, and Kaylee was here, and Martin came in when people showed up. It was just great to try and kind of see how far we could get with it, and we got pretty far with it. So
yeah, and we did.
At the end of it all, it was just trying to kind of get.
We did some podcast episodes at the Red Hen.
That's right.
And what was the other pubs that we did at? We did it at several. Michael Flannery's was another one. I think we had Michael Wyatt, is it, from Full City Rooster, and a few of us, we were all in there for lunch, and I'm sure when you hit the archives one of these days, you'll find all that, some of those, and there was loads of places. We ended up in Nancy Blake's and Tom Collins's. We went all over the place. And then I did a awkward lecture, and we did a workshop together at the Limerick School of Art and Design. That was cool.
That's correct. Actually, at the moment, I have a student who was at that lecture.
Oh, nice.
Who is he's been with me for the last 4 weeks on work placement from the college.
Okay.
So, he was very taken with our kind of presentation, and he was very impressed with your moustache. Actually, is really what sold it for him.
I'm glad my mustache could help you get some free slave labor, Tom. That's good.
Yeah, and listen, I gave him the most important brush in the whole studio, which was the sweeping brush.
There you go. Start him off right. Yeah. So
he's been great. Colin is his name, so he's a big fan of yours.
Hello, Colin.
Again, he came. He came along on the strength of that talk and the workshop we did afterwards.
Really, that's cool.
So so you're inspiring people.
We got a convert
all the time, Sean. We got a convert, and I believe there's more coming down the line, unless I mess up his last day tomorrow.
So this brings up something. So on the 24th of this month, I am going to give another talk, or whatever I don't even know what I would call it, but the AIGA, which is basically the American Graphic Design Guild Association, whatever you would call it, is having me do that in Dallas. And I've been thinking about it, like, I wanted to get your feedback on this because you participated in the thing there at the college. Is I kind of think I want to change the approach. Instead of like telling people what I'm thinking they want to hear, I want to make it more interactive and get people to tell me what they want to hear, because I don't know. I think it's kind of awkward and weird. I'm getting up there talking to, in this case with the AIGAs, all working professional designers, and some of the talks I've done before, like at Texas Women's University here in Denton, it's talking about the history of sign painting and typography and that kind of stuff, which I think is somewhat interesting. But what do you think about that?
Well, I think the fact it sounds like they're a bit more mature than maybe your college students. I know that on the day they were kind of shy, and they weren't they weren't maybe asking too many questions initially. But then once they kind of thawed out a bit, they were easier to kind of chat away to, even one-on-one when we were doing the workshop. The lettering workshop upstairs after the lecture. Mm-hmm. And they got a bit looser. But I think when you're dealing with people who are working professionally and they're used to being around, they might have a bit more confidence, and they might be up for trying out. They might be up for asking questions and participating more and interacting more with you, and So I'd invite them to roll up their sleeves and to get stuck in and see where it goes.
Yeah,
I
think that might be a little bit more riveting than hear me blab on about the stuff that only a sign painter might care about. I don't know, but there's another event in August that Kaylee and I are going up to Cleveland, Ohio for, called Weapons of Mass Creation. And I'm supposed to be a guest speaker there too. And I'm thinking, there's certain questions that we get asked over and over, and I'm guessing you've probably been asked the same ones, like, how do I become a sign painter? Like, what's involved in that? Where can I learn? What brushes do I use? Which everybody asks that, like there's some magic paintbrush set that if they order that, they'll be, an aficionado.
Well, there is. I'm actually releasing them next week on my
nice.
e-commerce website.
I got to get me some of them brushes.
Absolutely. To be honest, I think it's one of the things that maybe in that talk, the other talk at the AIGA or in Dallas, or and this thing, and Sign Painters movie. The thing that really for me was what I set up and took more notice of was when people started talking about their interactions with clients and working, relationships.
Okay.
Because we can all sort of lose people on the technical stuff.
Right.
And on the real nerdy kind of anorak kind of stuff. There's lots of it, and some people want that. Some people, it's there for them if they want it. But really, the thing that kind of got my interest with the movies, when people were talking about sometimes it's just getting the confidence to kind of work with people, work well with them, and maybe sort of say no to people in a nice way, and try to help people as best you can.
Yeah.
Some people are open to that. Some people are, and those kind of things are really universal. I think a lot of people who work in design and who work with people or for people, can instantly tap into and identify with that.
That's a really good point. I'm always amazed at no matter how long I've done this, there's like the whole personal growth aspect where I ran into this a couple weeks ago where I designed something. I really put a lot of myself into it and sent it off to the client, and their initial reaction made me a little agitated. And I'm like, why am I agitated? What they're asking me to change is very minor. But it's, it's when you see that you still have a little bit of ego somewhere deep inside that flares up. That kind of stuff it's irritating to me, but it's also fascinating that, like, I've done this for over 25 years. I should be past this. Why is it bothering me at all? And then it's like, but it does bother me because that's perfect the way it is, but that's the ego. That's not, not reasonable.
And this is the thing, exactly. And you know what, that whole thing of the customer's always right. Well, actually, no, they're not. They're not always right.
No,
but
sometimes they're very, very wrong.
But if you want to get paid from them, you have to work with that,
Yeah, you do. You have to find a level of compromise because, there's plenty of times. Now, where I'll draw the line is if I know something that they're asking for is really going to work against them, then I'll dig in my heels and be like, this is not going to work right, But if it's a preference issue, then you have to yield and be like, okay, I'll adapt to this. I'll change this up a little bit, Sure. That's hard though, because when you're doing this every single day, year after year, and you're looking at every tiny detail of every aspect of something you're designing and painting, I think the ego does kick in where you're like, no, I know that the best way to approach this, so that's why I'm doing it this way. But compromise, man, it's not easy. That's why marriage is tricky.
No, it's not. Well, yeah, and sometimes you lose people along the way, like customers as well, obviously, and others you have forever and ever because they saw what you were doing and it worked out for the best in the end, and they came around, or maybe it wasn't a big struggle and they were more open to it, but definitely all that technical stuff where getting used to the brushes and the paint and the standing and the physical side of it, the mental side of it, the skill set side of it, and then dealing with people. It's a lot. There's a lot in it. I mean, really, it's not for the faint-hearted.
No,
I
think that's the biggest thing that's underestimated by people wanting to get involved in it is. It's almost like that political side of it where you've got to deal with all these different types of personalities and challenges. It's not just the actual work. It's all the other stuff you just described that you've got to juggle. And sometimes that's way more work than the work.
Well, now we have a new breed coming through, which are design companies. So now you don't just have the client. You also have you've a lot of middle people now.
Right.
Some of them are providing artwork that's okay. Some of it's excellent. Some of it's awful. Some of it's Jesus.
Yeah.
And then managing all of that and extra personalities, and I get not a lot of that in, but I'm careful not to be too available for too much of that because it dilutes a lot of what I do anyway, trying to take on other people's artwork that isn't really what I want to be doing, but some of it's fine. I don't mind, that's really how broke I am.
That's the tricky thing is I would love to work on just a handful of specific type of projects at all times, but there's the practicality of somebody calls up, you got bills due, and the project's kind of lock and load. The artwork's done. You just got to make some patterns and go out and paint it and make a chunk of money and pay a few bills. But then that is.
So you're a working sign painter. That's it. It's part of it, isn't it, as well?
Commercial artist. That's the
commercial
thing.
Artist, yeah.
The thing I remind myself of all the time is you're not just an artist, you're a commercial artist, which means you're doing this for profit, and again, compromise is part of it. I would love to just sit and do intricate gilded glass pieces in the studio all day long in the air conditioning and be living large doing that, but that's not how life works. I gotta climb up on buildings and sweat and do things I don't want to do sometimes.
And you might miss some of that too if your luck did change and you found yourself getting all that kind of work for a long period. You could, after a while, I think you'd go a little bit stir crazy. Not having the fresh air and the all the physical. I mean, this morning, a friend of mine came into the studio, and he's a sign painter friend of mine, and he was, he had this lettering job to do, a wall dog sign to do, and it was just for a community centre. It was a small little thing, and he needed to borrow some of the tower scaffolding and stuff, you know. And I said, look, give me an hour or two, and I'll join you. And you know, for an hour we did it, and we put it to bed. You know, we nailed it. It was great, yeah. And all we did was catch up on how, you know, what's happening with you and what's going on, and you know, if any holidays coming up, all that kind of stuff. You know, it was great. And then, you know, I had to race back here because of something else going on. But it's great to have, I suppose, the freedom to be able to come and go and do different things, and that I wouldn't give up for any love nor money.
No, that's totally true. And I've heard other people express it as well, as you know, that diversity of being able to get out and, you know, get away from the studio and get away from the normal paper nonsense and all the other stuff you have to do to stay afloat, and just be, you know, on a scaffold or a ladder and work outside. You hear the birds and you're sweating, and, you know, that kind of makes up for the mayhem that is part of operating a business, which, man, I know we've talked about this before. If that could be taken out of the equation, life would be ideal.
Yeah. You know, at the same time, you know, people are people, and if you can kind of, you know, just hang in there. I mean, I sometimes there's a lot of kind of, you know, emails coming in from people, whereas, you know, it's very formal and it's very businesslike, and it's in terms of, and, you know, the customer journey and all this kind of stuff, you know, that, marketing nonsense type terminology. I just kind of, you know,
we really want to transform the space.
Yeah, the word space. I love the word space.
It's called a room.
Space. Yeah,
it's a room. Come on.
So you have that. You guys have that too. So there you go. The whole country's gone mad here on space, and in terms of space.
It's funny
in relation to moving forward. You know, the project and all this kind of stuff. God help me. But, you know, ultimately, if you can kind of, you know, I find you have to be a real people person to do this kind of work and like people, and, you know, and then, yeah, sometimes you need a break from it all, and that's when you have that truck project going on, and I think that's motorbikes and all the different things you do to kind of get yourself right again to face back into it and do more of it. And I'm the same. I got took off with my son recently. We went down to West Cork with the bicycles. Nice. And it was great. There was no Xboxes or any of that kind of stuff, and we did stuff. We brought model airplane stuff with us, and we stayed in a hostel, and we made little kind of things, and it was just fantastic. It was great, and we just had a fun time, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, we a few weeks back we went camping in an area called the Hill Country here in Texas, down by Austin, and there was zero phone signal for like 4 days, and it's amazing. After like the first 2 hours, the first 2 hours you still have this habitual weird thing going on where you're like checking your phone, and then your brain finally kicks in and says, no, nothing's going to come through. And then you're like, did you hear those birds? Can you hear the wind? This is amazing.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, when you get up in the morning really early and you have a job that, you have to be in the studio early, or, and you're kind of, I have to get up at 4 a.m. or something ridiculous hour, and there's some of that magic too of, no one can get you till at least 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Right. So you have those 4 hours of absolute peace and bliss, and you can hear the birds, and you can, just get yourself right, to do what you need to do, and it's just trying to, for me, it's not to overload too much on what, it's great to be busy, and sometimes I'm complaining I'm not busy enough, and then I'm complaining I'm too busy. But it's just trying to get the balance, isn't it? And have time left over for your family and yourself, if you can at all.
Balance is key, man. It is key, because the minute things get out of balance for me, I'm sure you're the same way, everything suffers. My work starts suffering. My design stuff goes out the door. It's like if I'm not in a safe place emotionally, like I can't design, Yeah,
and you have to have your wits about you. You can't be tired, and a lot of things just can be very tiring. A lot of dealing with all of that kind of stuff. You can Are you still there, Sean?
I am here. Yes, I'm listening.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was getting a bit of feedback. But yeah, maybe just to answer your earlier question about the the talk you're going to be doing soon and stuff. I think you'll have an avalanche of feedback from people if you bring that human element into it, and just the work-life balance thing and dealing with people. Everyone can relate to that. And whether you're a sign painter, or a break dancer,
Oh, do you know about my break dancing?
Well, listen, you can. It takes one to spot one. You know what I mean? Yeah,
there you go. You saw me popping. So,
talking to Grandmaster Flash Collins here.
Yeah, I'm much more comfortable conversing than I am talking. I think it's much easier to keep a dialogue going than it is to try to just feed information to people, because I don't think that I've got anything interesting to offer. So
well, we're always most surprised to find out that that's not the case, and I think that's a lifelong kind of journey, really, isn't it? To kind of
sign painters with low self-esteem. That'll be our new theme. We could do therapy sessions with all other sign painters.
It could be a new support group. Very much so. Very much so. But you do see that. It's one of the things that you do see from some of the social media. You do get great encouragement, and you see guys that you really rate giving other guys great encouragement, and it's really good to see that, I think.
Yeah. Well,
and people hanging in there.
And as much as I bemoan social media and the pain in the neck that it can be, I look at the friendships. I mean, you and I, Simon, who came out to Limerick, the DeBell brothers, John Lenig. I look at all these people that I've, initially all those contacts were made through social media, and these people became, long-term, friends. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great.
So, that's a good thing. So, okay, I know we had talked a while back. You were thinking of, and you know that I'm a vehicles guy, so you were thinking of giving your shop Jeep facelift. Have you started working on that?
God, no.
No?
No.
I'm anxious to see.
No, that. I mean, listen. It's like the cobbler's kids with no shoes. It's the last thing. I just one of these days. I mean, I used to drive an old, really like a Renault 4. It's like it was. I couldn't even describe it to you. It's like it was a 1980s, early 1980s little post office van.
Okay. And
you often see them in kind of like French movies, in the 70s and 80s. Every time I watch The French Connection, they're driving past the screen. Nice. They're like those kind of Citroen. Yeah, they're like those Citroen Dianes. But anyway, I drove around with one side of the van, sign painted for 6 months with nothing on the other side, because again you're working away on it, and then you get busy, and and if I wanted to make a really good impression, I would drive up the street with the good side out, or if I was trying to avoid being seen, I would park at the other, all this kind of nonsense. But, so and then over the years with all the different things, I painted a few by hand, and then it kind of got lazy, and it was just you go to a crowd and they'll give you some stickers, and that I've been doing that for a while, and it's just I feel it's not a very good advertisement for what I'm doing, really, but I do a little bit of that from time to time. So and when you trade these things in, you peel them out. I get it. I get why they make sense to do it, and they're fast, and I don't really have a huge problem with vinyl on vans and Jeeps and trucks, and it kind of makes sense. I knew a guy in Cork years ago who used to work in spray yards at night, just lettering manufacturing these big, huge, like these big PVC sort of curtains that go on these Arctic trucks, and like it was horrendous. You'd go in at night when the trucks were off the road, or when they were in getting service, and there'd be like guard dogs, Alsatians, growling at it. It was just like a horrible environment to work in. I never envied him, and so if you can get a guy that'll stick that stuff on and he's gone in an hour, well, it's a no-brainer. I
definitely has its place. Years ago in South Texas, I went for a couple of years of just painting propane tanks, and they had these big, massive tanks that would be on the side of the road where the trucks would pull up and fill up their trucks and stuff. So I'd paint the name of these companies on these tanks, and it'd be like 100 degrees and sun scorching you, and wind blows, dirt on, and so it's like all sticking to the one shot, so it's like sandpaper, and it's just like, oh, there's got to be an easier way to make a living than this. This stinks.
Yeah, but look, at the same time, I'll get it together. I mean, the Jeep is something that every now and again I think, I might get another year out of this Jeep, because I just got it through a test. I was surprised to pass recently, a roadworthy test that we have here every year, and I didn't think it would make it, and it did. So suddenly I'm like, I better do that job that I was supposed to do 3 years ago on it, and now it's nearly halfway through the year that I think it won't make the next test, and but it's, in an ideal world, I'd have the time and the energy, and at the moment I just feel like I'm still getting things back on track after last year with everything that went on, and I mean just kind of from the business and at home here with with family stuff as well, trying to make some time to actually just relax and not be doing work related stuff all the time.
And then I come along and talk you into co-hosting a show.
You said it would be about nothing, and that's what I bought into, So I'm going to hold you to that,
Hey, it worked for Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. $400 million later, go home and cry into your pillow of money.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, look, this is. I don't know what this is, but it's at the moment it's effortless and it's fun, and any excuse to kind of catch up with people and it's nothing. It's fun.
And as we've established, you're the Larry David of the duo, so we've got the dynamic down.
Oh yeah, I'm so Larry David. It's not funny. And Nikki's Cheryl,
Yeah, that's true. So we've been, as you've seen in our Instagram feed, we've been working on this hot rod shop truck of ours for many, many months. That's now on the road.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was fun.
What's it like to take out on the road?
It's awesome. It's loud and smelly and obnoxious. It's like it's great. It's a. But is it for hot rod? Is it or drag strips, or can you actually drive it around? No, I drive it everywhere. It's a 38 Chevy pickup, and the guys at Rebel Rouser Hot Rods, which is one of the sponsors of the podcast, they built it, and it's. I don't know. There's probably a debate on whether it's truly a hot rod versus a rat rod. I don't really care. It's kind of both, and it's awesome. So, whatever.
Cool.
But
it rocks, man. It looks great.
Thanks. Yeah,
you did a terrific job on the whole thing, and you did too. You finished it off beautifully.
Yeah, Magic. It was a lot of fun to paint. Because. It just of what you just said. Our last truck, our big red Chevy shop truck, it was the same thing. There were parts on it that I had gotten 75% done, and then got busy. There's like all this incomplete areas of the truck that I never got finished out, even though I owned the thing from since like 2010 or something. I don't remember when I bought it, but So yeah, it's kind of cool to have had the time to dial in all the details on this one the way I wanted. But
and I mean, you know, did you really have to carve out that time especially, or were you able to just juggle things around where you could keep working and do the odd few days on it?
Well, it took them 6 months to build it because they basically did frame up, you know. So it worked out really good because they would drop off parts, like they dropped off the doors 1 week, and so I painted, you know, everything on the inside. I painted the door panels like old beer signs, and then did the logos on the outside. So I got all that done between other jobs, and then they took that and gave me other parts, and then I made multiple trips down to where they were building it in Dallas and painted and pinstriped it. So that was pretty cool the way it worked out, because I was able to take, if it was a client's job, there's no way I could take that much time and not like starve to death.
Yeah.
So it worked out good. But
well, it's nice that you did that for yourself. It's nice that you gave yourself that, you know, that permission and that time to do that. And, you know, it's a decent thing to do for yourself now and again.
That's a good
really
point.
Nice gift.
Yeah, because I don't ever invest in myself the way I do for clients. So that's true. It's probably a long time coming.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I bet you won't, like, you know, a long time from now, you know, you'll be kind of looking back and saying, "Oh, I regret I should have worked during that period and made more money." No, it'll be, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad you know.
That's how I feel about the whole project that you put together in Limerick. That got us out there is. You know, there was all of the pressure leading up to it. There was the pressure of getting a bunch of work done so that we could go there and not come back and be completely broke. And then there was pressure when we got back to pick up all the pieces. But I wouldn't trade that for the world. That was such a cool experience, and you know, just a great thing to do. So definitely a good point.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, last night I was working out in Bunratty, in Dirty Nelly's, and a bar nearby as well called Gallagher's, and doing some work there. And it's near that castle that the three of us got, you know, early morning access to after I collected you from the airport. And that, you know, I'm bringing you guys back out again, you know, on the way home, listening to Elbow in the car. I mean, just I'll take them with me to the grave. You know, they're brilliant times, great memories, and all the fun in between. You know, brilliant, absolutely great memories. You know, I wouldn't, and you know, definitely, you know, tragedy plus time equals comedy, because at the time I wasn't really finding it very funny when everything was going wrong. You know, but now looking back in it, it was great. But you know, again, I'm trying to be careful, not because a lot of people will ask you to do things, and when they see you doing a few things like that, and you can only do what you can do. And I kind of found that out the hard way, that you know, when you overstretch, it really is like a house of cards, you know, and we're very fragile. We're all just, you know, doing our best to kind of keep going and put enough pressure. Anyone, you know, the wheels will come off. You know, you don't want to become
the town floozy.
like the guy in Cinema Paradiso who lives in the square shouting at people. I know. I don't want to be that guy. You know, no thanks. You know, but I mean, there you go. So I mean, all those projects that you're doing with the truck, and you know, these talk to, I think they're great. They're food for the soul. You know.
Yeah, and you got to mix that in, or you're going to burn out. You know, and that's, I think. You know, we, well, as you know, we moved our studio back to Denton, where we had been since 2012. Spent a year up in Denison, which is only like an hour away from here. But it's been so good coming back. And as you know, we had been living in our Airstream for 2.5 years, and that was very rewarding in a lot of ways. But we kind of had reached the point where, you know, we probably on the tail end of that, and then hailstorm came through and destroyed it. So now we're in a little house here in Denton that we love, and that's that's been good. But it's also, I think those things are important to keep you from burning out too.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes those disasters that come along, they kind of, they shift you in a different direction, and they move you out of where you need to move on from.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, and sometimes it's only with hindsight that you can kind of look back and actually, it was a good, that got us moving in the right direction again.
Yeah, for sure. So from here, just I'm really, really glad that you wanted to do the show with me, because I put it on hiatus when we moved because I was just, something had to give, and that was one of the first things to give, was just to put this on hold.
Yeah.
But I really loved doing it, and I loved a lot of the interactions we've gotten from the audience, and I think having you come on board as the co-host has been a really cool thing, because it allows us to, stay in contact and talk about nonsense, and that's a good thing.
Sure. And listen, come here, just so it's out there now, this is your show, baby, and you can fire me anytime you want. All right, when you get sick of talking to me about nothing,
you're not getting out of it that easy. I published a photo of us together, and we can't undo that now.
Oh no! It's only hit the delete button. It's no problem. Trust me, I've done it millions of times. You'll get over it in a couple of days. The guilt will pass. Honestly,
thanks for your high level of commitment, Tom. Thanks a lot.
So look, come here. Anything you need, just let me know, and I'm happy to just chat away to a friend, really. And it sounds like there's a few friends out there who are coming back for more again and looking for this. And I was one of them. I missed it hugely, because it kind of kept me going. Those stories that people had, and especially the stories. I love the ones where when jobs go wrong, when people fall through like kind of glass window or glass roofs and different.
Right.
I love all those kind of stories. Bring on more of those, please.
There you go. Bloopers.
Yeah. That'd be great, like tins of paint falling off scaffolding and landing on, people in prams, kids in prams, and all that.
Yeah, just so whoever's tuning in knows, we will be incorporating interviews and stuff with other sign painters and designers over time as well. You're not going to just be stuck with me and Tom. But
thank God.
But this leads me to a very important segue. What have you been listening to?
Ooh, okay. What have I been listening to? Let me see. What have I been listening to? This morning, I bumped into someone who turned me on to a new artist. Maybe they've been around for ages, and maybe you've heard of them. And she sent me a text to check him out. Here it is. Peter Mulvey, Mulvey.
That doesn't sound familiar. An Irish guy?
No, he's American, and he did some sort of crowd fund type thing. And one of the add-ons was that he would come and play a gig in people's homes if he reached a certain number, and he travelled from wherever he lives in America to Ireland, and this friend of mine was at it, and Kira, and she was telling me about it. She said it was great. He was just it was like a kind of a Randy Newman, just kind of taught the stories, and they were great, and it was just one guy with a guitar, and he loved the fact that it was like he was in someone's, I think it was like he was in someone's barn,
Interesting.
And there was like a handful of people at it, but beyond that, it's different things. My brother's home from Barcelona, and he's someone who
is he the one that did those paintings at your parents' pub?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Michael. Yeah, he has an exhibition on in Barcelona at the moment, and
we should drag him onto the show.
You can do your best. If you think I'm a low-tech man in a high-tech world, you should meet this guy. He's living in a different century because he just listens to classical music.
Oh wow!
And at home, all I heard growing up was like the piano and classical music, and he played the organ in our church, and so it's like kind of big, heavy kind of Handel's Messiah type stuff going on all the time.
You're a refined gentleman, huh?
Well, there's a bit of that there too, and sometimes it's nice to have a bit of that, and I need a bit of that from time to time, and I also need a bit of like when we were down in West Cork, Seth suddenly announced that he loves Queen, so I had to download like Queen's greatest hits volumes 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. And I've had enough of Queen now. I can tell you for another while. But I'll listen to anything really, whatever's doing. What about yourself? What's on your vinyl?
Well,
turntable at the moment.
I'm definitely still on a vinyl fixation. And I'm trying to get a lot of the stuff that I love on digital on vinyl. Big Van Morrison fan, so I found Moondance the other day on vinyl. That was cool. Kaylee and I went and
excellent.
Got ourselves some housewarming gifts and bought a bunch of records. But I'm cyclical. It's always the same stuff. It's like I really love that whole bebop era of jazz, Charlie Parker and all those guys, and so I'll go through cycles of listening to all of that, and then I'll switch to outlaw country, which doesn't jibe with that at all, but then that's on my brain. I'm listening to Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and all those guys for a week or two, and then kind of just jump back and forth between those. And when in the studio, we had the record player here in the studio, but we moved it to the house. But in the studio, I usually just put on Pandora or something if I'm painting something to keep music going, So
yeah, and I see you were at a jazz club recently. You posted some of that on. Yeah,
there's a place here. There's a Grammy award-winning band called Brave Combo that's from here in Denton, and their horn player, who's this incredible musician, him and like a half dozen other people, they do this ensemble the first Tuesday of every month. I can't remember what they call themselves, but it's all old, like Django Reinhardt, Billie Holiday, all of that great era of jazz, and they're amazing. Like, it's the best musicians you could put together for that kind of music, and they just they show up there every first Tuesday. So we've been going out with my nephew Ryan and his wife Eileen, and our friends Hal and Darlow show up and just have dinner and drinks and sit there and listen to them for a couple hours. It's really good.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So you've seen any live stuff over there in Ireland recently?
No, but I'm going to see, not for a while, but I'm going to see Hugh Cornwell next week.
I don't know him.
Who was the lead singer? Yeah, he was the lead singer with the Stranglers.
Oh, okay.
So he's playing a gig in town on his own, maybe with his band, I'm not sure. But the last time he came through, I missed him, and some friends of mine were saying it was a really good gig, and they played. The Stranglers actually played in Brixton Academy quite recently. I was over in London recently, and I just missed that, and the reviews were sky high, afterwards, and I was always a fan of the Stranglers, and so I'm looking forward to that. I think that, but there's a whole lot more on the horizon, and again, like trying to kind of, see really decent acts. They're generally, generally playing in Dublin or mostly Dublin. So it's a bit of a bit of a drive, and if they come here at all, and they're on tour, they usually come on a kind of a crap night, like a Tuesday night or something. It's really difficult,
something nearly impossible to go do.
Yeah, but at the same time, then you get to see, Katie Lang, or you get to see, Amy Mann, or people like that come through every now and again. And go, yeah, definitely going to that.
Right.
And we make it our business to try and.
There's a really funny Portlandia episode with Amy Mann on it.
Oh, no way!
Yeah. You have to look it up. It's worth watching.
I've seen a few things from it, and it's great. I really think it's pretty clever.
I'm not a huge fan of the show, but it's got its moments, that's for sure. So
I suppose like a lot of these things, they repeat the joke, don't they, a bit, and you kind of,
Yeah, beat it with a dead horse, So you mentioned London. I wanted to actually talk about that too. You went over to, and amongst other things, you went to AS Handover, right?
I did. I went to. I suppose I kind of kept in touch with everybody that came in from, all over really, and the London guys were especially Charlotte from AS Handover was saying, next time you're in London, do come to the new shop. They have a new shop, and well, it's new to me because it's been years since I went to their premises. They used to have a place that was like a really tiny little trade counter. You couldn't get past the trade counter. You really wanted to get see and have a look around.
See the good stuff.
See the good stuff, and then do the impulse buy kind of blood sugar stuff where you see something you have to have it. And that we kind of made a loose arrangement that I would she came in especially on a Saturday morning, her day off, and opened the place especially, which is great. And Toby Newbiggin and Jack Hollins got wind that we were meeting up, and they came up, and it was great. And we had a lovely rummage around, and we found some that stuff that you use. I can't think what it's called, but it's for antiquing glass. It's like a kind of a black tar like.
Oh yeah, asphaltum
product. Yes, asphaltum. So they found, one of these, and it wasn't on the system, so they couldn't charge us for it. So we ended up kind of fighting over who was going to get it. And then we split it by 3, and I had to kind of smuggle it back to the country in, shampoo bottles. But it was because I saw you working with it on some of your reverse glass.
Yeah, I love that stuff, man. It makes everything on glass look so old. It's awesome. It's got that amber. Yeah, like a tar. Well, it is. It's actual asphalt. Yeah. I read a thing in one of the old books, and basically they would just take a chunk of asphalt, like you'd get off the road, and just break it down in mineral spirits over, I think it takes like a week or 2 to break down, but then they would use that.
And do you wash it over the whole piece, or just in areas that you want to kind of get more, cloudiness into? Or
yeah, what I've used it for, and it was a spin-off of seeing some old timers use it on top of gold leaf on like surface gilding, like fire trucks. That's what they use to get the shading. So those like acanthus leaves look almost 3-dimensional. It's because they're shading with asphaltum over the top, and so I've started to use that on reverse glass gilding of doing the shaded areas for like frames and that kind of thing with the asphaltum.
Okay.
It's really touchy because it's translucent. So if it's too thick or too thin, it's too light or too dark, So it's a little tricky to get the hang of, but it looks so cool. Your pub mirrors that you do would look so cool with that incorporated into it.
Yeah, well, come here. You'll see some of that soon, because I've a few in the studio at the moment, and a few more coming. And I'm really looking forward to trying it out on those jobs.
Very cool.
And some of the guys I have, want that. They want me to, in a way, kind of experiment a little bit, and it's great because you can kind of have fun and you can try things out, and I'm certainly not at the level of some of the guys that we all know and love and respect highly that are producing kind of
Dave Smith doesn't count. Dave Smith doesn't count.
Yeah, no, you're right. He did a deal with the devil at the crossroads. That
yeah, exactly. It's like he's doing
you know?
something like evil and wicked, and yeah, like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's fair to classify him with the rest of us. That pushes us down too far.
Yeah, but your man, your buddy, is it Roderick?
Roderick Treese, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the stuff he's turned, and lots of all the other guys that are, you know, there's the guy Bob Gimache in New York, who actually contributed to the auction. His work is terrific. And have you seen the work Simon's been producing?
Oh yeah, that latest stuff. Yeah.
Isn't it gorgeous? You know, and that was after doing the workshop with Dave. And you know, one of these days we'll end up in Torquay, you and me, Sean.
Yeah,
you know, breakdancing with Dave Smith.
We will steal his tricks, and then we will shame him with our breakdancing.
Yeah, we bust some moves and bust some glass.
He wouldn't let us near it. He'd be like, "Sorry guys, I'm all full up right now. I can't take any more."
Yeah, but we'll pay double, Dave.
Yeah, that would be cool. We'll have to see if we can pull that off before we're dead.
Well, you know, maybe we need to work on some new sponsors. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe Pepsi could float us.
The Pepsi Challenge.
Yeah.
Did you have the Pepsi Challenge? Did you have that?
Yes.
We had commercials here. The Pepsi Challenge, where people were blindfold drinking colas.
Yeah, I'm sure a big corporation like that wouldn't, like, you know, do this craft injustice by exploiting it and making it look terrible. I'm
definitely
sure,
not.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd come out fine.
What are you worrying about? It'll be fine. Fine. Just wear their T-shirts.
Yeah. We'll just get the logo tattooed on our forehead. What's the big deal?
Oh, well, you know, it's like you said earlier, Sean. We're commercial artists. It's all about compromise. Right?
Yeah. Like I said, you don't want to be the town whore. Anyways.
True.
So we did it. We did. We just did our first collaborative co-hosted episode.
Hopefully there's still people listening.
Yeah, I hear snoring.
So well, look, you know, for what it's worth, you know, thanks for asking me to, you know, participate. And really, it's just it's so good that we kind of, you know, I don't know, kept in touch and have this kind of friendship. And you know, one of these days you'll get a knock on your door from me with my breakdancing lino, and we'll hit the town.
That's a good point. I need to install the peephole in that door back there. That's a good point.
What? You won't hear me coming. It'll be the middle of the night.
I need to put the electrocution switch to on when I see that happen.
I'm sure this is the right address. There's no one answering the door.
Well, yeah, you know, no, you will have to make it out someday, and we'll have to come up with a scheme to exploit the event.
Well, look, Nikki's friend that I was telling you about is living in San Antonio.
San Antonio, that's where I grew up.
And yeah, okay. So, and how far is that from where you are now?
I think it's about 6-hour drive.
Okay,
Texas is big.
And I'm sure you could go twice that distance and still be in Texas.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, look, maybe one of these days we'll try and do a few birds with one stone type of thing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And I'll come up with some kind of convoluted scheme so that we can do a project together. And the Jupiter House Coffee, which we're in the basement of, so you'll hear occasional rumblings as we record, but they've got a huge amount of wall space, and they've got rotating art shows, so I'm sure I could twist the owner's arm into letting us do something if you come out.
Well, look, come here, you know, you know, one of these days, Sean, definitely one of these days, mate, you know.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I'm also going to comb through those sound files you sent of you at AS Handover talking with Tobias and Jack and some of the others, and we'll put that into this episode too, so people can hear what it's like to have you out and about.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I think the Full City Rooster coffee, Sign Painters Blend is available through AS Handover.
I got an email about that last night. So yes, I believe that it's now available on their site, the Sign Painters Blend, and Full City Rooster's one of our sponsors. So support them because they're cool people.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And not only that, but their coffee is unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is.
We're so stoked. Yeah, because we just ran out, and Nikki was saying, we need to order some more, and now it's great. I can order it in with my gold leaf or my one shot.
That's awesome. Super cool. All right, well, we did it, and as far as frequency, Tom and I have talked about this with our varying schedules, and I think we're going to concentrate on one monthly mega episode as opposed to trying to do it weekly, which is just really, really big commitment when you're trying to operate a business and keep yourself sane. So we're going to go ahead and do one full meaty episode a month, and if it's too long for you, you can break it up and listen to it 4 times in a month, and there's your weekly. So
good stuff.
Tell Nikki thank you for allowing you to come out and play, and for those of you listening, you've heard Tom mention his son Seth. There's an episode in our feed on iTunes, which is an interview with Seth, who is he 11 or 12?
He just turned 12, Sean.
So he's 12 years old, and he's amazing, and the episode's awesome. So listen to that and learn more
thanks,
about.
Sean. You're very good. Thanks a million. You're very kind.
Seth's awesome. I could totally hang with that kid. And we have a new and improved website now, coffeewithasignpainter.com, where not only are all the episodes archived like they are on iTunes, but there's other info on there and ways to contact us if you got some cool idea that we need to know about. So there you go. There's our episode 2.0, and we will talk again soon.
Yeah. Welcome back, Sean.
Welcome back,
Good
Tom.
to have you back.
Same here. Okay, so the next segment is Tom at AS Handover in London, and he's tracked down Charlotte and Toby and Jack, and we're going to listen to some of what they talked about.
It's cold today here in London. So that's a cool looking Vespa. This is London after all. There's Charlotte. I made it.
You've not been here before, have you?
I haven't. How are you?
I'm fine.
See
How are
you.
you? Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah. It's this way.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for coming down.
That's okay.
On your day off.
No, I don't mind. I don't have to do anything.
Well, it was very good of you, and
No, I don't mind.
and you're very good to agree to
Yeah.
all of this other out of nowhere last minute
That's okay, that's
.com
better.
madness.
Last
good,
minute's better.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, you
Don't
know,
worry
there might be
about
some other people joining us.
I think Toby and Jack are actually already here.
No way. How cool is that?
Yeah.
They don't know anything about this, do they?
No.
Good. Surprised them. Hello. How's it going? Good to see you. It's going. How are you?
Very good. Hey, this is my brother Chris.
Hey Chris, how are you?
Nice to meet you, buddy.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Sweet,
Good
bloody,
stuff.
it's a good handshake, that.
Yeah. Oh, it's cold out there.
Hey, good to meet you.
How's it
Nice to
going?
meet you.
All good. Guess what? Yeah.
You're recording everything.
I've got the new Terry Wogan mic here. Everyone from Ireland and England will get the Terry Wogan reference, but nobody in Texas will get it.
No.
So this is it. I've been asked to, get you guys to relax and have a coffee with.
Is it for Sean?
Have a coffee with a sign painter, exactly. Yeah. So
He's traditional sign writer, isn't he? Look at him. He's got the hat, the glasses.
I like you straight away. I've got the plotter in here. Don't tell anyone. Well, it's great to see you guys again. It's been like a whole year.
Yeah.
Is it about a year, 6 months or something?
Time goes too fast.
It does. And you were in Australia since we last met.
For 4.5 months.
Wow.
You're barely gone.
My tan's almost faded.
That'll be replaced with high blood pressure pretty soon. when you start getting busy again with all the jobs, you know?
Yeah, it has been busy again.
Has it?
Yeah,
okay, great.
sort of straight back in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plenty of work out there then.
Yeah, a lot of them were repeat clients, so
okay.
Sort of,
right. And they waited for the best.
Yeah, they said, hold on, I'm coming back.
Well, it was good that you passed on a few jobs, but not too many, right? You know?
A few big ones.
Yeah, okay. Well, you have to do to kind of, I suppose, keep everyone happy.
I did a few big ones out there, so.
Did you really?
Good, yeah.
Cool. Fantastic.
Did a lot of work with Will and Nathan of Will Lines & Co.
Right.
Yeah, got the t-shirt again.
Yeah, okay. That's going to come out. That's going to look great in the podcast. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, look at you, you got a haircut.
Yeah, chopped it all off 2 days ago for my birthday.
And you're going to lose a lot of fan base there when you see this. You see this. I'm going to probably gain some more. You know?
Yeah, it's just like
it's a whole other demographic, you know.
Yeah, I'm dipping it in the paint all the time, so it's time to get rid of it.
Well, it's great to see you guys. But listen, if this is a bit too weird, because I know it's out of nowhere, and it's very nice. Is that right?
Yeah,
Well, listen, it's not even on, so I'll just put it here in my
picture.
Pretend it's not even on.
Yeah, pretend it's not even on.
You can't not notice that thing.
Get over here, get in here. This is... We're getting our picture taken here.
Snap. Yeah.
What are we doing today? I don't know.
Well, I thought a bit of breakdancing.
Yeah.
You know, do a bit of breakdancing. This guy's already got the whole look going.
I'm a very well dressed individual.
Yeah. Well, I believe it's coming back.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I could dust off some.
He's bringing it back.
You're bringing it back, you on your own.
I hope so.
Well, I was hoping to. I've never been here before.
Yeah.
I was in the old Handover when it was back in the day. Back in Islington.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. We could never get past the trade counter, and Derek, and you wouldn't let me pass out. You wouldn't. You must be behind there.
We're going to have to break in because this is locked from the other side.
Okay.
Is this where you work, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, it would be really cool just to kind of have a look around with you on here.
And
You
we
know.
changed it all recently, so I don't know where anything is now.
Yeah, it's going to
Boy,
be around.
discovery for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Cool.
Find new things.
Find out. And
Since last time I was here.
I believe they switched off the CCTV as well, so that's all good.
Why did they brought him
You know
along?
what I mean? Yeah, fill up the hat.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe we could do a whole coffee with a sign painter, actual literal coffee.
Yeah,
you know,
we can do coffee.
sign painter, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So, tell you what, I'll put this off for now. Do we find a key and we can turn it back on
There's no
again?
key, we just need to go up and back down.
Oh, nice. What's that? Barker?
This one?
What do you call it?
Barber.
Barber jacket. Yeah, it's
barber.
nice, man.
Thank you very much.
Well fitted.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'll put this thing pause for now. Back to you soon.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm Jim. I'm Jim. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Hi,
Where are you from?
I'm from Dundalk.
Oh, yeah.
I studied. I spent
What are
5
you
years
doing
in
here? Who let you out of Dundalk?
I know. I
You've
spent.
been recording now.
Yeah. You got me.
Got you now.
That's a nice fluffy hat.
Yeah, it's a Terry Wogan kind of thing. around here.
Absolutely.
It's good.
Yeah. No, I spent. I'm familiar with a lot of your work all over the city. I was in the School of Art Design.
Oh, in Limerick?
I studied painting there.
Joking me?
Yeah.
And who was your tutor down there?
Well, I did a few. Alan Keane. Mark Swords was in and out. We had. Barker Kelly was my main tutor.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. You did fine art.
Yeah.
All right. Did you ever come across Anne Ryan?
Anne Ryan Enright?
No, she's Anne Ryan. She's from Limerick originally, but she lives in London. She often teaches in Limerick. Andrew Carney, did you ever?
No.
Yeah, I'm a few years on.
Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
So you're over for the weekend?
Just for the weekend, bit of shoplifting.
Yeah.
Say nothing to no one.
Yeah, this
All good. It's never happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, and so you've done Dundalk.
Yeah.
So do you know Peter McCullin? He's a sign painter from that
Oh, I
region.
don't. Can't say I do.
Yeah, he's more Drogheda, but it's not a million miles.
It's not a million miles, no.
Yeah.
It's a fierce rivalry between the Dundalk and
Oh, I
Drogheda,
believe it, absolutely. With
Yeah.
the hurling and the Gaelic football.
Yeah, exactly,
Of course.
yeah.
And how long are you here?
I've been here 4 years.
All right. And how long are you in AS Handovers?
He's actually Jackson.
I'm Jackson.
Oh, he's Jackson. Oh, sorry.
Sister company.
No, Sorry, we have to delete that.
You have very little dealings with me.
No, we're deleting all that.
Yeah.
Erase, where's the erase button?
So you're doing a few demos while you're here, are you?
No, what we're doing, we're just having a bit of fun with these boys. I haven't seen them for a bit.
Sorry, I was saying you looked after them very well when you went back. Was that September? October?
Yeah, September.
These guys are great as well because their support was fantastic during that whole mad month, and we raised a lot of money for a local charity, which we were able to auction off a lot of the work that Handover had helped us with materials and workshop. Also helped us with some sundries and bits and pieces. So you guys are great. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that on the air.
Yeah, exactly.
That never happened either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just raise that line. This never happened.
Okay. But look, we've got a lot of credit. You've got a lot of credit in Limerick.
Yeah.
So if you're back in Limerick,
absolutely,
you have to look us up, and we'll take you for Tom Collins's or.
Yeah, well, I was a regular there.
Were you really?
Yeah, I lived on Catherine Street.
Oh, no way.
For years.
Right.
Yeah, right. I lived above that ladies' fashion shop right across from. Was Burke's? I believe Burke's is closed.
It is, yeah.
And it has your work over it as well, doesn't it?
It does,
Burke's
my studio is really opposite Burke's, so we would have been just right next to each other.
Studio was
the laneway there.
Oh, down there, right? Yeah, okay, yeah.
So you're overhead there. There was like a kind
what
of.
Was this? What was this? The collective space
or something.
Faber Studios was there for a while. Some of the ex-graduates,
Do you know what you did?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
correct.
Lawless and a few guys
that's right.
there.
That's right. They unfortunately were moved out because somebody got wind that there was a big department from the university coming in to take over the whole building, and then nothing happened for about a year. But now Uber are in the building.
Really?
So they chain smoke outside the studio a lot.
Okay.
Which is great fun.
Yeah.
But look, there's just people around.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, will you come and visit the next time you're
absolutely,
in
indeed, yeah.
We'll take you down to Nicky Martin's for lunch and Tom Collins's for
fantastic, absolutely.
All those haunts, haunts of yours.
Haunts, absolutely. No, great. Lovely to meet you, Tom.
Great stuff, Jim.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
Thanks, mate. See you. See this, guys? Check it out.
We can go buy
beautiful wall building on these doors.
Who've done that?
David Kinniston.
It's nice. Beautiful, man.
Beautiful work.
He was painting in yellow, not with any size or anything, and then he said, we'll just put some gold on it, so he just put some gold on it.
Nice.
Lovely black highlights on that.
Yeah, really tasty. Isn't that lovely? The little flick with the brush.
That's beautiful. I love that one stroke there.
Nice. And his shadows kind of in and out.
Yeah, going straight up there.
Nice one. This is great. Wow.
Yeah, did you get?
Crack some paint, huh?
Great smell there's a great smell of paint in here, isn't there?
So we just moved this all around. This was all a lot more cramped.
Okay. Oh, really?
So Adam.
The gold was here.
Yeah, the gold was here. The gold is here now.
This reminds me of like
Gone.
We've got it. It's okay. It's over there. It's all
like in
right.
the Indiana Jones movie where they hide all the crates of stuff. It's just like endless. It's great. Oh my god.
Whiting.
Yeah.
Got everything.
Very organised, I must say.
These are the
I
colours.
wonder you guys can react so quickly to these orders.
These brushes are beautiful.
Which series
There's
are
only
they?
the last few left.
Alright.
They're vintage Le Chute.
Okay.
You can buy it.
I think that's Chiselton. But most of them are gone now. Just we'll snap them up.
Oh well, I gotta have one of those.
Yeah, they'll smell.
We all take one? We all gonna get one? Yeah? A commemorative brush? Yeah. There you go. There you go. We've just cleaned you out now, we've just taken the last of them.
I've got some more upstairs.
No!
These are maybe the last ones.
English sable, beautiful. Great. Okay, lead on. Let's see some more cool stuff.
What's your best price?
Never mind.
On those.
Sean Starr's paying for all this.
Is he?
Yeah, he's got an account.
Oh, nice. Put it on the tap.
And we'll have two of those. Oh, look at these.
Whoa, silly.
Some really strange looking brushes here.
That's Michael's travelling for one of everything that we do, including a lot of things we don't necessarily do anymore.
Get a picture.
So this is, we found the guys brought out Galaxy, which is like a art sort of warehouse. And they brought out all of their old supplies and all their old desks and things like that.
Great display case, yeah.
Which is why we've had a shift around it.
Okay. And do you get many people in, walk-ins from the trade?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly signwriters walk in.
Okay. And from far, near and far?
Not who walk in, no, unless they're visiting.
Do you get a prize if you do come from somewhere far?
No.
Like maybe Ireland?
You get all the goodies that you can't find on the website.
Yeah, the prize is you get to rummage around and see what you can, because there's all sorts of stuff here I don't know.
It's worth coming in. It's like a pilgrimage, right?
I think,
especially now it's been shifted around, because there's a lot of things popping up that I didn't know were here, that Adam's like, I know.
What have you found? There's some really good stuff. In Penso, sometimes they dig out.
Just old tins of paint. I found a whole crate of lead poster paint.
Oh, cool.
That Bryce,
no way.
Bryce took.
Instantly. I tried to
we have that.
I had one of them I think before, and it took about an hour to try and get it stirring.
Yeah.
I bought some yesterday.
Yeah, weight of it.
Did you?
Cornelison's, yeah.
You can't.
What did you
They
do? Mix
shouldn't
it
be
in?
selling.
You can buy it, it's just pure
Oh, okay.
powder.
You can do that. Yeah.
But it's highly toxic. I don't know. Do some research.
You know what? You just throw it in everything.
Don't let the cat drink out of the same bowl. With the other. Well, that's the great thing about coming to a place like this. You see so much more than you ever will from a website or from a catalogue. You know, so it really is a must to make the trip. I think you know. And look, for everyone that's listening, if you're still listening, Jack and Toby and Chris are photographing away like mad. I'm sure there's going to be pictures to back up a lot of this nonsense. That'll make some bit more sense of it. So there's some beautiful marbling as well over here. Some marbling examples of lovely marbling. And again, you can buy all your badger softeners and hog hair brushes and everything you need here, and all the paint.
Good old books I found.
Some good old what?
Sometimes
Books?
they dig out a good old book.
Okay. Oh, look at this.
That's not their normal stuff.
Oh, look at this. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff here.
Some great magazines over there as well.
You manufacture your own brushes.
Not me personally.
Well, when you cut your hair, I know you hand it in. And
someone once they had their cat's fur from a cat that had died, and they made a series of paintbrushes out of the cat fur.
Whoa!
That was before I was here, so I didn't get to see it.
I don't know if I'm freaked out or really impressed by that.
I think
I'll let you know later when it sinks in.
It's pretty amazing. It's strange, but it is amazing.
Yeah, but it's the same kind of hair as similar kind of hair as.
I suppose it's soft, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, Hep Cats. This is the part of the show where we play a song from the Arhoolie archive, so pay attention. You can get these tunes from the legendary Arhoolie records at arhoolie.com. Now sit back, open up some One Shot, crank up the volume, and expand your minds, babies.
belongs to me. Oh, belongs to me. Love is a precious thing, and the world got to bring everything I feel in this world, and it belongs to me. Oh yeah. Your eyes, I know you have your eyes down on me, but Lord, I want you to have a little mercy on me. I was wrong in so many ways, and the good Lord lifted me up and got me out of my days. He got his hand on my shoulder, guiding me in every way. Oh Lord, I know in every way. Feel so good because he got me in his hand, and the Lord keep guiding me, and everything at his command. Oh Lord, yeah.
Thanks for listening, folks. Tune in next episode for more madness from Sean and Tom. This episode was brought to you by Full City Rooster Coffee Roasters, makers of the Sign Painters Blend, the coffee Sean and Tom drink in their studios every day. Also brought to you by RebelRouserHotRods.com. Licensed apparel by Sean Starr, including support your local sign painter gear.